Have you ever felt that, no matter how hard you try, something invisible pulls you back to the same place? As if a silent force is sabotaging your steps, distorting your choices, and making you doubt yourself, even when everything seems right? Well, here's the deal. The truth is brutal. Either you strengthen your mind, or it will dominate you. Most people live on autopilot, with their minds programmed to obey fears, react impulsively, and repeat patterns that no longer serve them. And the worst part? They think this is normal, but it's not. The modern world isn't just testing your intelligence, it's attacking your sanity. The overload of stimuli, invisible pressures, silent comparisons, all of this is shaping how you think, without you even noticing. And if you don't learn how to strengthen your mindset, reprogram your thoughts, and build an unbreakable mind, you'll constantly be manipulated by circumstances. There's no neutrality. Either you train your mind, or it will be trained by others. Either you master your emotions, or you'll be their hostage. And that choice, silent, daily, definitive, is yours alone. In this video, you'll discover what no one ever taught you about mental strength, emotional control, and how to train your mind to be unbreakable, even on the toughest days. You'll understand, with depth and practicality, how to break free from the cycle of self-sabotage and build a truly strong mindset, one that protects you, propels you forward, and gives you back the power to create the life you deserve. So take a deep breath, because this journey will shake you. Write in the comments now. My mind is my priority starting today. And come with me until the end. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and share this content with those who need to wake up. Sometimes, it's not a scream that silences us, but a constant whisper that, over time, gains authority in our heads. The mind isn't captured all at once. It's seduced little by little with promises of safety, approval, and belonging. The media, social networks, everyday conversations. It all seems harmless until you realize you think like everyone else, feel like everyone else, and decide like everyone else. Emotional freedom has been replaced by an invisible script. When you wake up every day and repeat the same automatic thoughts, live on autopilot, and feel guilty for not pleasing others, it's a clear sign that your strong mindset is being undermined by external patterns. And the worst part, it happens quietly. A weak mind doesn't realize it's been colonized. Modern manipulation is silent. It doesn't come with chains, but with notifications. It doesn't shout, but it persists. People close to you, even with good intentions, can shape you through their judgmental looks, their expectations, their careless words. Little by little, you start making choices not because you want to, but because you're afraid of disappointing others. Your inner voice, that compass of emotional freedom, gets muffled. And when you realize it, your life has become a reflection of what others expect from you, not what you want to build. That's the moment when mental reprogramming becomes urgent, not as a self-help technique, but as a rescue mission. To escape this invisible captivity, you need courage. The first weapon is mental discipline. Shielding your mind against empty criticism requires you to identify which thoughts are yours and which were implanted. Stoicism offers a way out. Observe without reacting. When you learn not to respond impulsively, to reflect before judging, to pause before absorbing any idea, the real training of the mind begins. Developing focus, rebuilding your mind based on internal values, and cultivating Stoic wisdom isn't a luxury, it's survival. Because in the end, either you shape your mindset or someone else will do it for you. It's hard to accept, but necessary. The reality you live in today is a direct reflection of what you've been feeding your mind for years. It's not just your actions that shape your surroundings, it's the thoughts behind them. The way you see challenges, interpret people's words, react to failure, respond to criticism. All of this reveals the state of your mindset. If your life feels stuck, it's because your mind is stuck. If your results don't change, it's because your thoughts are still operating under the same limiting beliefs. And the most brutal truth: as long as you don't take full responsibility for this, you'll keep handing your power over to circumstances. Most people live thinking others are to blame for their misfortunes. Lack of money? Blame the economy. Romantic frustration? Blame the other person. Constant anxiety? Blame the routine. But the truth is that an unshakable mind sees these situations through a different lens. Instead of looking for culprits, it seeks direction. Instead of playing the victim, it rebuilds itself. That's where inner strength is born. That's when philosophy for life stops being just reading and becomes daily practice. The difference between those who move forward and those who stagnate is rarely about intelligence. It's always about mindset. If you want to change your life, don't start with what's outside. Start with mental reprogramming. Change what you believe about yourself. Train your mind to endure the discomfort of discipline. Stop feeding negative thoughts like an addiction. Learn how to have self-control in the face of criticism, how to develop focus even in chaos, how to stop being controlled by emotions when everything around you invites chaos. When you understand that your mind is the root, everything changes. Your actions flourish, your reality responds, and your emotional freedom finally stops being a promise and becomes a real achievement. Imagine your mind as a field. If you don't intentionally plant anything, weeds take over. Mental chaos, lack of direction, limiting thoughts. All of this thrives when you don't cultivate conscious mental discipline. Creating an unbreakable mind isn't magical. It's the result of silent daily habits. If you commit to just 30 days of Stoic mental practices, you'll see your inner world become clearer, stronger, wiser. It's not about not feeling. It's about mastering what you feel. It's not about never falling. It's about learning to get up quickly without losing mental peace. The first step is simple but powerful. Observe. For 1 week, just observe your thoughts. Note the patterns that repeat, fears that arise without clear reason, impulses that make you act before thinking. That's the map of your current mind. In the second stage, the challenge of replacement begins. Whenever a destructive thought arises, swap it for a constructive affirmation. That's mental reprogramming in practice. Then move to the third stage, reconstruction. Adopt the habit of meditating daily, even if just for 5 minutes. Read passages from Marcus Aurelius's Meditations. Write down on paper who you want to be and which thoughts would sustain that new identity. In the final days, you'll start to feel the results. Less reactivity, more clarity. Less drama, more discipline. Your mind no longer reacts as it used to. When someone provokes you, you don't explode. You breathe. When something goes wrong, you don't crumble. You analyze. That's an armored mind taking shape. And when the mind strengthens, the world no longer feels so intimidating. The training continues. Every day, you plant something new with courage and intention. Because an unshakable mind isn't built in moments of calm, but on the days you wanted to give up and chose to keep going anyway. Most people live as if they were an extension of their own impulses. Someone says something, and they snap back. A situation spirals out of control, and they panic. A criticism arrives, and they collapse. That's the weak mind, living at the mercy of emotions, like a leaf carried by the wind. The problem isn't feeling. The problem is letting what you feel decide for you. A strong mindset knows that emotion is a signal, not a command. It listens to anger but doesn't respond with fury. It feels sadness but doesn't drown in it. It sees fear but doesn't freeze. Acting with intelligence is about making the mind the commander, not the hostage. Emotional control isn't built in the moment of crisis. It's trained every day, in the small situations that seem trivial but reveal a lot. When someone cuts you off in traffic and you take a deep breath instead of cursing, you're training your mind. When someone provokes you and you choose silence, you're strengthening your emotional resilience. When something doesn't go as planned and you reorganize instead of complaining, you're exercising the power of your mind. That's Stoic wisdom applied to daily life, not as theory, but as action, like a warrior mastering a sword without needing to use it. And more, when you stop reacting impulsively, you start unsettling those who expected your collapse. The controlling person loses their power. The manipulator panics. The world around you gets thrown off balance, because no one knows how to deal with someone who masters their reactions. You don't become cold, you become free. And that emotional freedom is the key to turning your mind into a silent fortress. From there, everything changes. You stop being a puppet of the external world and become the author of your own narrative. But hold on, there's still a hidden obstacle that can sabotage this entire process. Sometimes, the most dangerous enemy lives inside your head and whispers in your own voice. Self-sabotage doesn't barge through the front door. It disguises itself as caution, prudence, realism. It tells you it's better not to try so you won't be disappointed, that you're not good enough, that it's too late, that no one will support you. And you believe it. You accept it. And you stop. That's how a weak mind sabotages its own journey, not with loud cries of surrender, but with subtle thoughts that erode your inner strength. The worst part is that it all feels rational, but behind every sensible thought, there may be a hidden old fear, an unresolved trauma, an invisible belief operating in silent mode. These repetitive negative thoughts aren't yours by choice. Many were born in childhood, fed by undeserved criticism, unfair comparisons, or expectations that were never yours. And they lingered, like seeds. Over time, they grew and took shape. When you avoid opportunities, procrastinate, or sabotage yourself in crucial moments, it's because those roots are still alive. Mental reprogramming, in this case, isn't a luxury. It's urgent. Changing your mind requires revisiting the pain, looking in the mirror with courage, and breaking the cycle of limiting thoughts. That's mental reconstruction, clearing the ground before building something new. And how do you strengthen your mind to avoid falling into these patterns again? Start with small daily acts of courage. Speak your mind respectfully. Make a commitment to yourself and follow through. If you mess up, start again. Write about your fears. Read authors like Viktor Frankl and James Clear. Meditate. Challenge your automatic thoughts with questions. Is this true? Or is it just fear talking? By doing this every day, you train your mind like a muscle. Little by little, self-sabotage loses its grip. Your mental discipline grows, and what once held you back from living with emotional freedom begins to crumble. But there's still a model that can accelerate this process of inner strengthening. Mentally strong people don't think like the majority. They don't constantly seek approval, don't live for others' acceptance, and certainly don't let a mistake define their identity. While a weak mind wastes energy trying to avoid criticism, the armored mind is busy building consistency. They understand that others' opinions are just an echo, not a decree, that not every emotion needs to be externalized, that not every battle deserves a response. They live with clarity, not out of arrogance, but because they've learned how to strengthen their minds through falls and restarts. And that's the silent difference. These people act as if they're always being watched by their wiser selves. They think before reacting, breathe before deciding, and don't let every passing thought carry them away. They know an unshakable mind isn't made of motivational quotes, but of daily mental reconstruction habits. They maintain rituals, even when no one's watching. They write down their goals. They avoid empty conversations. They develop focus when the world craves distraction. And if they fall consciously, because they know inner strength isn't about always winning, but about never losing yourself. The most curious thing is that these people weren't born this way. They chose to be. They trained. They refined themselves. If you observed them closely, you'd see flaws, fears, doubts, like any human. The difference is that they don't feed those shadows. They recognize them but don't identify with them. And that's why they shine. If you want to transform your life, start imitating these minds. Study how they think. Notice how they behave in chaos. Draw inspiration from their patterns. Because a Stoic mindset can be learned. And when you decide to train your mind like a warrior trains their body, it doesn't matter where you come from. You start deciding where you're going. And speaking of destiny, most people confuse wealth with money. But true wealth starts in the mind. Before it exists in your pocket, it needs to exist in your thoughts, attitudes, and invisible daily choices. You don't need millions in your account right now, but you need to think like someone who will. Because a millionaire mindset isn't about ostentation. It's about vision. It's knowing how to wait when everyone wants instant results. It's investing time where others waste it. It's having emotional control when everything seems to fall apart. The right mindset doesn't come with you. It's built like a foundation, and those who don't build it live on sand. The difference between those who prosper and those who merely survive is rarely about opportunities. It's about how the mind interprets those opportunities. A person with a weak mindset looks at a problem and retreats. Someone with a strong mind sees the same problem as an invitation to transform. The first thinks, I can't. The second asks, how can I? That's the power of the mind, the ability to change the tone of the internal conversation. If you train your mind to think like a successful person, even in tough times, you'll be building emotional and financial freedom simultaneously, because those who master their minds master their results. Start now. Even if your life is far from what you dream of, even if no one believes in you, even if you doubt yourself, start acting like someone disciplined, like someone who reprograms their mind every morning before leaving the house. Read books that expand your thinking. Study. Practice gratitude and strategy. Avoid comparisons. Invest in habits that reinforce your long-term vision. That's personal growth in practice. Because if you can't control how much you earn today, you can, and must, control how you think. And that's already the first step toward a profound inner transformation. And when the mind transforms, it starts to see the real enemies. The mind, when poorly trained, becomes an elegant trap. You think you're making free choices, but you're actually obeying invisible commands. There are thought patterns that seem harmless but keep you stagnant, repeating the same cycles even when you crave change. The first of these traps is perfectionism. It disguises the fear of failure with the excuse of, I'll only start when everything's perfect. But the truth is, perfectionists rarely start. The second trap is silent victimhood, that inner voice that always blames others or fate. As you convince yourself you can't, your mind settles into excuses. The third trap is constant comparison. It's when you measure your life by someone else's yardstick and always feel lacking. This destroys emotional freedom and erodes your inner strength. The fourth is masked procrastination. It's not laziness, it's fear. Fear of trying and failing. Fear of taking responsibility. And the most dangerous, fear of change. Because change requires discomfort, and a weak mind avoids anything that threatens its comfort zone. The fifth trap is binary thinking. I'm either a failure or a success. Either it works on the first try, or I give up. This extreme mindset stops you from growing because it ignores the value of the process. Overcoming these traps requires awareness, and more than that, daily training. Training the mind is like defusing a bomb. It demands attention, patience, and technique. Use Stoicism as a compass. Stop reacting, start observing. Develop mental discipline to see the pattern before acting. Take notes on your relapses, change the internal dialogue, reinforce your choices with small victories, and above all, celebrate progress, not perfection. Because the secret isn't in eliminating obstacles, but in strengthening your mindset so that none of them stop you. And the stronger your mind becomes, the more resilient you'll be to life's inevitable blows. You've made it this far, and that already says a lot. In a world that distracts you constantly, staying present in pursuit of wisdom is an act of resistance. Now that you understand the power of the mind and the consequences of neglecting it, there's only one honest path: action. Strengthening your mindset is a daily practice. It's waking up and choosing silence when everything provokes you. It's rising with clarity when everything confuses you. It's training your mind to be your ally, not your saboteur. But tell me, how long will you postpone building your inner strength? How long will you let fragile thoughts govern important decisions? How long will automatic habits destroy your best plans? Reflect calmly, but act firmly. Because here's the truth. Either you shape your mind, or the world will shape it for you. And the cost of inaction is high. It costs your emotional freedom, your mental peace, your chance to live authentically. So I invite you to keep this transformation going. Write in the comments what impacted you the most in this video. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and share this content with those who need to wake up. You're not here by chance. Strengthen your mind, and the world will never be the same in front of you.